I know it's probably played out. The cat lawyer is still just giving me the like total laughs.
I saw a business card that someone made of like if cat lawyer was a real lawyer. That was so good. All right, I'm gonna start recording over here. If we could just do a cross country clap here. Doesn't have to be totally in time. It just has to help me edit it. Okay, 1, 2, 3. That was a very gentle golf clap. I like that. All right. Will you please introduce yourselves for the radio audience and what you do and where you are?
Well, I'm Carrie Ann Hurst.
I'm Michael Trent. We're Shovels and Rope. We're in Charleston, South Carolina.
Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah.
I know it's weird doing these conversations so far away. I'm in Los Angeles, but there is a blessing to it. You know, I normally maybe would never get the chance to talk to you guys. And when I first launched this little podcast about 3 years ago, I had a little like bucket list. That is what a bucket list is. I had a bucket list of the artists that I wanted to talk to one day, and you were in the top 5.
Wow.
Who else was in it?
That's a great question. I think what was our ranking in that 5? I think it was like Lucinda Williams, some people that maybe wouldn't normally be heard from. Tune Yards, I'm super into. I actually might talk to Meryl in a couple weeks. But
you don't have to say I was messing with you. You don't have to say the list.
He's got an assy sense of humor.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah. I like your curtain that's behind you. Carrie was worried about what was going to be behind us. Yeah. She was like,
I have just become, our culture, we're like watching the world through Zoom now. And so we're all, I just look at everybody's backgrounds. Like, I love your background is just a composition and like utilitarian chaos. You've got your, is that a keyboard on the wall?
Oh, I hung that earlier because it's covering a really ugly thing on the wall. So it makes it look a little more festive. And then there's like a sequined backdrop from Amazon that was
$4. Cool. You got a cool microphone out behind. You got the cool microphone in front. You're doing good.
Yeah.
So
this is
you guys look kind of moody. You look kind of moody in there. It looks like a practice space from like the mid 90s where punk rock would happen.
Michael doesn't like bright lights in the recording studio, so it's like always dark and the windows are always closed in here, but it's always got a vibe, and it doesn't matter if it's 9 in the morning or 9 at night. It's like Vegas. It's always the same vibe in here. Slightly underlighted.
I got some smart bulbs. Do you mess with smart bulbs?
The ones that kind of look like a supermarket, like they're very like green or like
they're like the tech is advanced. I didn't know much about them, but my brother's into smart bulbs, and I'm like very light sensitive. I don't, I hate to be harshed out by some harsh light. And so I put some smart bulbs in here so I could make them whatever color I want, like amber or.
Oh, nice.
Dim them down. You can dim them down with your phone.
Was it nice?
And then they didn't like them that much, but
they don't work.
The thing is with these ones is they don't go well if your switch is on a dimmer, and all of a sudden they started like strobing, like this gnarly bright white light. And it just kind of out of nowhere, and I feel like that was worse than ever, than the light was before. I would pay to have that never happen again.
So you're celebrating the release of your newest Busted Jukebox / Busted Juice Box, which came out February 5th, and at first, when I heard that it was an album for kids, I was like disappointed because I was like, what about the adults? Why can't
Yeah.
we get a new covers record from Shovels and Rope? And then I listened to the record, and I want my kids to be the kids who would listen to this banger of a record.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, it was definitely like for the kids, 'cause
They
She
can't
just
see-
winked.
Oh,
You
Yeah.
can't see that on radio. She winked heavily. Go ahead.
really dramatically. It just kind of make something that it was inspired by all the kind of weird new music that's living in our repertoire, and all those kind of like songs that started tugging on our heartstrings from our own childhood. But the way that Michael structured the record is like really interesting and exciting, and it was a dream come true to get Sharon Van Etten to sing Beach Boys with us. I mean, we did not expect her to say yes to us, and she was like, let's do it. And it was so much fun.
Yeah, that version of In My Room feels like it feels like it should be directed to the angstiest kids out there. And I feel like there are a lot of angsty kids. I mean, there's been a lot of troubling statistics coming out of a whole generation of kids being stuck behind their computers during this lockdown period who are not socializing with the rest of the world, and they're almost collapsing into themselves. Their personality is reverting back to some sort of infant original state. And the DA of San Francisco is actually suing the San Francisco school district to get schools open again so kids can like stop going crazy at home. But I feel like if they listen to your version of In My Room, they could at least blow off some steam and feel a little better,
I feel that.
Definitely
Yeah.
feel that. Yeah, we're lucky our kids are like just too young to go to school anyway, or we're in preschool, so it's kind of like barely getting by in that department of like quarantine challenges, and but not even not having any access to like dealing with other kids is I didn't really think it was going to be that big of a deal for them, but even at 5 years old, it's just like been a hot mess. So I hope I hope they can get that dialed in. I hope they're not, they don't seem to be the worst trajectory, that this in terms of spread. So
Yeah.
God,
It's crazy though. I mean, like
We
we're
do.
like we are we have two young kids, 2 and 5, and then they're stuck in the house all day, and we're we're feeling it for the parents for sure, of young kids. It's just like the madness that happens between just even in a, I don't know, 8-hour time period is it will undo you.
Mhm.
I know we're 3,000 miles away, but you look like more or less like human beings who have slept through the night. Maybe that's incorrect, but
No,
like
we're-
It's a filter.
I see some parents who are friends of mine. I'm in my mid 30s now. Everyone is having kids at the exact same time.
Mhm.
And they come up to me and are like, are you still considering having kids? And we're like, at our Airbnb in Palm Springs, sitting in a hot tub. And I feel like bad. Like, I feel like, well, we're, just being people who without kids, as all the people around us are having kids. And I feel like they're going through this like gauntlet that we're not going through.
They
And
are.
I feel bad that I can't like help them in some way, but I'm also just trying to enjoy my life right
Yeah.
now.
I mean, you feel bad when you when you feel bad when you win the lottery too, a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
But it is hard right now, but it's like, I don't know, it's one of those things that you embrace it, you just get in it, and it's like the most hilarious things will happen throughout the day, and the most insane things. And I feel like if your life is like a balloon, like our balloon is really blown up tight right now, like
Uh-huh.
lot of life is going on inside of the balloon skin, and and why not? Like, I love it.
Mhm.
I think it's great.
That said, I feel like childless people should really enjoy their lives and like maximize. For those of like who like I'm perfectly happy in the parent zone, but I love living vicariously through other people's things. And we have childless friends that endure us because sometimes childless people, they're like the childfulness of their other friends' life can sometimes be exhausting, maybe. But those you know, those are the best aunts and uncles, and they bring a wealth of support and like cool vibes to the family life from the outside. So enjoy your childless life, please.
Did you
Yuck
test
it
run?
up.
Did you test run songs from this record on your kids as like a mini test audience?
No, not really, but we did ever since our daughter was really little. We always played the Beach Boys for her, and we're always trying. She's never been a great sleeper, and so I wasn't a great sleeper um, in my teens, like all the way. I had trouble sleeping. I had nightmares and stuff, and I started playing the Beach Boys and to go to sleep to, and it was kind of the best. And so we tried that out on her, and then I feel like we fell in love with those songs even more, and plus we had the attachment of the memories of us singing those songs to her. And yeah, it was just like kind of became a special thing. And then some of them, like she's on the record. She sings on You Are My Sunshine, and she does like she's talking in the middle of What a Wonderful World. Like I'm trying to work out a little toy piano thing, and then she busts in. It's like starts telling me what to do.
She's micromanager.
And yeah, so she's kind of all over it, and it was, I don't know. I mean, it feels special to capture some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Forever.
Well, I think that song In My Room reminds me of growing up in Chicago and making my room my sort of weirdo sanctuary. I had stickers on every inch of all the walls, to the point where my parents had to, I think, sandblast it clean, with a professional, I don't even know what you call that person. Someone who like completely deconstructs a room when you have to start selling this room to someone else because they now rent it out. And when I came home from college and it was completely changed, I felt like I lost like part of myself, like my room, my safe cave was no longer there for me. Like you assumed, oh yeah, this will always be there for me if I'm feeling kind of lost in the world. But my parents are like, well, we now can get like $900 a month from this person. So
yeah,
you got
my
kicked right
parents,
out of your room.
we're going to paint it blue.
They put the treadmill in my room. And
immediately.
When I came home, I was like, what is this treadmill? And they didn't even use it. They just hung towels on it and laundry. That's how you can tell that it's time to grow up.
Where did you guys each grow up?
I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, via Mississippi, but I was in Nashville until I came to Charleston at 18, and I've been all my adult life here in Charleston.
I grew up in Colorado. My family's from Texas, and I have older brothers and sisters, like quite a bit older, and they more or less grew up in Texas, and then we moved to Colorado. I don't really know why. I guess a job thing with my dad. Plus, they like to ski, and so they started. They were like this, like the Texans on the slopes,
Cowboy hats, bombing.
Yeah.
Look at me.
But I grew up in Denver mostly.
And you guys, for people who don't know, had and continue to have your own solo music for many years. I think people, when they see these fully formed duos, they're like, well, this is what they've always done, right? They didn't exist before Shovels and Rope as completely different musical entities. But you guys, really were on the road, crisscrossing the country on, trying to pursue your own solo careers for many years. And then about 2008 was the first Shovels and Rope record, right?
We made that in 2008, but we were still in our separate things. So we did it just for fun, like we were kind of getting sick of our projects, banging our heads against the wall with the things that we were doing. And, we were still in it and we still loved it, but this was just something fun to do. And, it was totally not like the other things that we were doing.
Fast forward, we got married and we're like, well, we've been gigging around Charleston, paying our bills. I don't really want my career to be like awesome and me not be with you. And if you get, we're going to be in separate tours, that's lame. And so we turned the act into the Shovels and Rope touring thing. And we're like, let's just work this out and see where it goes. I mean, we've got nothing to lose. And it kind of, we've just been on the road pretty much since after our honeymoon. We basically hit the road and high-fived and made a band and that's it.
Yeah, it was like we've worked really hard at the other things that we were doing for a long time, and then we kind of did this just we're like, I don't know, let's just throw it together, it'll be fun. And then
let's do a lot of ego sucking up too, right?
And people like this thing more than they like the other things that we had put some years into. And we got a bunch of luck like right off the get. And then we could travel easy. We just we one bank account and we slept in our van, and everything was easy. And we just we brought our dog, and we if we could make enough money to if we sold enough t-shirts that night or whatever, then we could get a hotel room, and we were kind of just staying out of the red, and it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
My wife was remarking earlier as I was listening to your earliest stuff that your song Birmingham is basically like your origin story as a song, and it really is something that continues to resonate with a lot of people I know, bands that want to find their place in the world, and that song feels so personal, but it also feels like a mission statement, especially that line, you ain't what you got, it's what you make, that you have to sacrifice everything to keep making the stuff, and that is what's worth it in some way. And I'm curious if you felt like it was really going to work long term, or if you really were just going to go song by song, album by album, and just let it flow.
It had to work.
We didn't have anything in the beginning. There was the stakes were low. The only thing that it was a little bit difficult to throw our kind of just change, throw the things that we were doing, or just just move them to the side and be like, okay, let's try this. And then but that whole was the best thing for us anyways. It was, we basically just had a conversation about it, and we're like, well, should we do this? Well, if we do this, this is how it will work for me. How will it work for you? And it was pretty easy. We mostly just had to be like, all right, well, you play drums sometimes, and then I'll play guitar, and then I'll play drums sometimes, and
but I don't
you
play drums.
guitar.
That's okay.
I don't play drums either.
It's funny, hindsight. We've played that song a zillion times, and not that, our career's in a little quiet spot for the pandemic or whatever, but it's like not on the road. But that has become very much a mission statement, like with the Heinz 10 years behind us, in terms of this is like a life. It's like a holistic lifestyle that we live that's centered around music, creation of music, and for better or worse, the marketing and commercial endeavors that allow us to like live a comfortable life and whatever. Like we're like we're toothed dogs about it. Like it's just we'll always find a way to function, and it's so fulfilling to do it. So yeah, it's interesting. Like until you said that, I never really been like, yeah, that's like an ethos that kind of, if you were setting up the graphic novel of Shovels and Rope, it would definitely be like, Birmingham expanded. But I guess that would be like the moral of the story all day.
I can hear that Neil Young influence in that song with the sort of the da 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 da. You can hear like Old Man, or you can hear almost like that whole Harvest record sort of filtering in the background of that song. And you have that great Neil cover that you did with
Shaky Graves.
Shaky Graves. Let me go back. You have that great Neil Young cover with Shaky Graves, and you've created now 3 covers records. Do you ever fear that people will find your versions of other people's music first and not pay attention to your own work, which is so moving to so many people? Or is it a gateway to your other work?
It's almost just like you can't control anything, and also everything's free. And so if anybody stumbles upon us, stumbles upon anything that we had put out there, it's a win. I might not have felt like that 10 years ago. We're a little bit more precious about everything, but it's like there's so much out there that we just make stuff and put it out, and hopefully people will find it. And we've been lucky enough to have
we have a receptive audience,
have a fan base. Yeah,
they let us get away with so much.
But Unknown Legend is such a great, almost reimagined version that it's almost risen, I think, to a new level. Like sometimes a cover can become its own thing, right? This is like part of your repertoire now. Like Neil Young is like an angel on your shoulder in a way, but that song, which is your most played song right now, or it's listened to the most, online, which initially made me angry. I was like, no, listen to their original stuff. God damn it. But it becomes something new when you guys create it with this stomping, passionate vibe. And you have this thing live, which is really a wonder to behold. If people haven't seen them on stage, they often face each other directly, right? Which I've never really seen with a lot of duos, where you guys, at least on festivals where I've seen you guys, you face your drums, the keys, the guitars, your whole setup. So you're not necessarily facing the audience. You're like mad dogging each other in the eye right in the middle of the stage. And it's like both romantic and also like scary to watch, because like you never break the focus the whole time. And your harmonies are so intertwined. Almost every word of every song is so connected that I'm almost like waiting for the fuck up, and then it doesn't come. I'm like, they're gonna have to like mess up some of these times. How can they be that connected? But you aren't looking at the crowd, you're looking at each other, which is super unique for me.
Yeah, we are 11 years married. There's a lot going on in there. Day to day, it could be completely different. I mean, you can imagine, like, we
have to play even if we're fighting.
Yeah, we're like, and there's a lot of stuff going on. We have kids on the road. you know, I do feel like we've always kind of been able to sing together. That was just a thing that we were pretty dialed right from the beginning, probably because we both we grew up liking, you know, harmony singing, um, from, you know, country folk music to like the Beatles and the Beach Boys and all
The
that
I
stuff.
threes.
Yeah, we just like that kind of that like that style. And then when we will sing a song for a really long time over years and years, it kind of changes. We don't know who's on the harmony or who's on the melody. We just kind of move around, and I don't know. I guess that's a thing that's kind of fun and keeps it from being boring. You know, it keeps it kind of fresh.
It'd be really
that's our trick.
It'd be frustrating if for other people, if we had more than 2 people in the band, it would probably become an annoying thing to the other bandmates.
If there's a third singer, they would be enraged. Like, what are you doing?
You are both stepping on my part.
Well, as someone who tries to create music where there is always guy-gal harmony with my group Dust Bowl Revival in this new project I'm doing, you guys are sort of like a template for me, you know, like there's sort of this baseline of excellence that I strive for, which with you guys as the golden example, but like the unattainable example in a way. And I feel like you guys, but you guys started even early on with sort of more softer, almost country waltz stuff like Mexico, which I love on your self-titled record. Even from the very beginning, you had this just locked in harmony as your bass. And that song feels like it could be like a classic, what do you call those songs that they play about the Mexican drug lords right now?
Ooh, I know what you're talking about. The it's like the. If you hadn't said it, I could have told you what it was. Because I read this huge article in Rolling Stone. Yeah, like there's a huge industry. It's like the opposite of like the Christian music industry, where there's like this whole other thing. It's like country western Mexican bands writing ballads about the hardcore leader, like the infamous carteliers.
Narco corridos is what they're called.
Narco corridos, that's it.
Narco corridos, such as the #1 song right now by Ángel González, Contrabando y Traición, y El Más Bravo de los Bravos, y A Mis Enemigos by Valentin Elizalde. You know, it's like there's songs that feel like they've just been lurking behind us in the culture for 100 years.
Yeah.
But a song like Mexico, you guys probably created 12 years ago, but it feels like it's been worn in somehow.
That song, so our friend Jay Clifford wrote that song for his band Jump Little Children, and his version of it is really, really tender and kind of more lilting, and
it's not a waltz though. I think it's like
it's like I won't let you go.
Yeah, it's more like
a pop 4 beat.
Yeah, long story short, with that band, Jump Little Children, they were a band in Charleston, and that's kind of how we met. We met through that band because we were both opening for them at one point. They kind of introduced us and everything, and then we recorded Jay's song.
We did, and then we everybody thinks that we wrote it, and that's great for us.
Yeah, but you made it your own.
We did make it our own. We it. So we're both we like cowboy. Who's my man with a white sport coat and a pink carnation? Why am I mean? Your dad always loved him. Marty Robbins. Mm-hmm. We love Marty Robbins songs. We love old Western banditos. Early Willie Nelson stuff, and it's funny, like it's all that tradition. Balladeers, romance, and Western plains and whatnot.
What was your initial thought about the other person when you first saw them sing or play live? First
Carrie was
impressions of each other.
Carrie was playing in this bar called Fluids.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not there anymore.
We should just not say the name of that bar. You could just say Carrie Ann was playing in a bar.
It's yeah, it helps with
So-
the imagery, but it's like yeah, we had my band at the time was on tour with Jump Little Children, who lived in Charleston. We'd never been to Charleston before, and so the way that their tours would work is they would go out for like Thursday through Saturday, and then or Thursday through Sunday, and then they'd come back to Charleston for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And we were living in Denver, so we came out here to Charleston, and then they introduced us to people, and we crashed on people's couches and whatever. And so a couple of those guys played in Carrie's band at Fluids on Sunday nights, and we went in there, and we couldn't see her because it's just like you stand in the corner of the bar, so it's just heads. But I heard of like a huge voice, and it sounded like it was smiling, and then when I finally did see who was singing, it was like this, little 5'2" redheaded,
Guitarist look really big on me. Yeah, it's
babe.
great big drip.
And I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. That her voice was just really timeless, and it sounded like old timey music, but they were like also playing Beatles songs and Elvis Costello songs, and like classics and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, that's Michael came along at a moment in my life where I had grown up in a folk tradition and had kind of had that language, and that those traditions were just kind of what I felt like I just kind of was, and I was seeking something else, and I wanted to pursue rock and roll and understand rock and roll. When Michael showed up in our small town, all this very striking looking bandmates, and kind of I liked their sound because it was melody driven, Beatles melody style, Kinks melody style, rock and roll. That was like that same era where we were into like the Hives and the Strokes and White Stripes, kind of really great second wave of great American alternative music or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just really, really liked their band and wanted that rock and roll for myself. So I started kind of like hanging out and learning about what kind of records they liked, and learned who Big Star was, learned like all the stuff that I hadn't been exposed to. And this is before Spotify, where you could just learn about anything. So it just felt like I had a window into a vein of music that if I just hung around these guys, I would learn and enjoy, that kind of musical aesthetic. So that's what happened. And then there was this amazing restaurant that it must have had a terrible business plan, because they fed us filet mignon and bottles of red wine and paid us well. And they did that for bands like every night of the week. I can't imagine.
God bless them.
Probably furious. Yeah, it's like the only night of the week we all ate well, but we would all just go every night to watch each other's bands, and it was just like the hottest, coolest summer. And from then on out, me and Michael were just a team. What like our relationship developed, but we just kind of like, well, I'm good, you're rock and roll, and I'm country, and let's blend our harmonies. And we started getting gigs, and it was just so much fun to do it. We didn't have to be that good at guitar, because the songs were really good and you could sing really well. And he was good enough at guitar to like, we could pull it off, Our dog is going crazy out there.
Do you hear our dog?
Um,
It sounds like a seal is got its flipper and some trapped under a
Our
rock.
neighbors probably hate us. Excuse me, just you hold it down. I got to go let the dog in.
Okay, sorry.
It is funny that when I asked you your first impressions of the other, it was almost completely about the music that you each were playing, not about your personality or how you felt about each other.
Yeah. I mean, after doing a bunch of years of talking about, everybody's like wants to talk about the you guys are married, how's that? And
Yeah.
we kind of deflected a lot of that for years and years and years, just because we're like, nobody ever wants to talk about how our music's cool. Everybody just wants to talk about how we're married. And so maybe we just have some like maybe those are
PTSD. Podcast PTSD.
Podcast PTSD. No, we like always got along really well, but we definitely met because of music, and then it was a while before we actually were going to do music together in any kind of like serious capacity. We just did it for fun.
The specificity of some of the lyrics that you come up with in these songs are what draws me to your music through the years over and over again. As a writer, I like to see these very specific love stories that happen. And there's this song off of Swimming Time, which I got super into recently, Marianne and One-Eyed Dan.
Right.
And, about this waitress, and it feels like almost like a circus version of a Johnny Cash song. Like if Johnny Cash was at the circus and you have this doo-wop background vocal. It's such a weird ass song, and I just kept playing it the last few days. Do you remember what that song was coming from?
I was in the garage. I was cleaning out our garage. I remember spending a lot of time in there, and I don't know. It was just. Actually, I don't have a great story about it. It was like maybe there was fumes in the garage that I inhaled, and then started being like, oh, wouldn't it be funny to make a song like this about this guy with one eye? Marianne rhymes with Carrie Ann. That's funny. Maybe I'll start it out like that. And
maybe there were gas fumes in the garage. Maybe there.
Yeah, it was almost just like, I think at that point I was kind of at I was at a place where I was feeling really creative, and also really like I had like a nice balance of not caring, like don't really give a fuck, and also feeling really creative and juiced about like writing songs.
Like
so
letting yourself write things that you might have been like,
yeah, it was like didn't take it seriously at all, and then at the end of it, it was kind of like, oh, that's kind of good. I like it.
You gotta give no fucks to write the best songs, maybe.
I guess, sometimes if you it's just like you can be your own, if you tell yourself too quickly in the process that your idea is no good, or like it's too weird or something, then you'll never get to find out.
When a song starts for you guys, is it coming from a notebook that one of you have and then you share it with the other, or are you guys collaborating from moment one?
90% of the time we have our own little notebooks we all scratch in, and when we have like a time period that we set aside to meet each other with the pile of ideas and workshop those ideas together to find the ideas we're the most excited about, and then we flesh out the songs as a team. And once the songs are written and we have like a scratch version of them, Michael develops the arrangement and kind of all that from there. But most of the time, and especially before we had children, we just didn't really know how to write together. Michael's really good at co-writing with others. I've never really messed with it. And now it's all about time management, and so it really behooves our process to like get a sitter for 10 days and hole up in the studio and just dedicate our time to cooking it all together. But the rest we have totally different writing routines and creative practices.
Some of the songs on the new record, Busted Juice Box, again, which in theory is directed towards maybe rock and roll parents with their kids, feel like a little bit too real right now. Everybody Hurts, for example, which I think is an REM song, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you guys are embodying a song like that, because it feels so raw when you guys do it, are you drawing from a certain painful memory in your past growing up, or is it something that you're just trying to pay homage to the song and how it was written?
In that case, so that song, it was like when we had the idea of making a kids record, sort of, we were like, well, how about Everybody Hurts? What if that was seen through the eyes of a child instead of, it's like a heavy song about suicide, and it's like, we kind of just took the approach of making it about, like if it was being looked at through a kid's eyes.
It almost reminds me of like when I lost a family member when I was 6 years old, and the way that they explained to me what it is like when somebody passes away. It's like really a frank conversation that like reaches difficult material with kids, but everybody is born, everybody dies, everybody experiences joy and sorrow, and that song is kind of an interesting way to be like, here, let me break it to you gently, kid.
Yeah.
It's a tough world, but we got you. We love you, and it's okay to cry.
Totally. That's like, and that hits our parent, us and our like parent cry spot, but like, we could see it as like you're on your knee talking to your kid and trying to explain it to him that way. And that was like why that one made sense for us to put on the record.
Well, people don't, I think of kids as, let me go back. When people think of kids, they think like, oh, like elementary school, kindergarten, but like you're really a kid into your mid-20s in a way, right? We're not fully developed or have any awareness of what is really happening in the world, how to deal with our emotions, how to control ourselves, how to really see where we are going to end up in the world. And so it's not like there's albums that are made for distraught teenagers, really. I guess Billie Eilish. But for me, like this as a kids album feels almost more for teenagers who are just experiencing first love, first death, first just emotional upheaval that you have. What were you guys like as teenagers? Were you rebellious? Were you emotionally crazy? Like, what was going on when you were both teenagers?
I was a mess. I was really sweet. I loved my parents and I had a great home life, but I've always just had a very specific vision for my own destiny, and I was a willful child. And I came from a divorced family and had a great stepdad, but I was always had a chip on my shoulder. And I came from a pretty privileged middle class household where music was made like, go be a musician. Here, have a college education. But I was surly. And when I left home at 17, 18 to go to college, I kind of really never had an intention of ever going back home. And that was not necessarily consistent with the expectations of my family. But Michael's the prize at the end of the cereal box.
Oh,
You like him better than me most of the time. What kind of asshole were you, Michael?
rotten. I was rotten. I was a rotten teenager. I'm sad about that now. Oops. Because I know that I've got it coming, but I was like, I was in a religious school. I was always in trouble because you can get in trouble for anything at the Christian school. And I was an angsty teen. I discovered music and concerts and like 9 Inch Nails and like I had my backpack had a lot of graffiti on it. And I don't know, I was kind of, like always like my dad had a really great sense of humor, kind of dark and dry, and I like that, and I learned music mostly from him. So we definitely had our ups and downs, but teen years were pretty rough around my house.
When you see your little ones starting to form their own personalities, do you see yourselves as young people coming out in them?
Yes. Ever so much, yes. Our daughter is an amazing animal, and very much like a mix of us. She's a little bit surlier than me. She's got a willful personality, and she's very much like got a plan. My girlfriend is a Virgo, and she's got a Leo baby, and I'm a Leo with a Virgo baby. And so my Virgo friend told me, for the rest of your life, your daughter's going to be directing the play that is your life. Like she's got it taught, and all you got to do is say the lines, and as she's asked you to deliver them, and everything is going to be fine. That's very much. We have a dictatorial 5-year-old who speaks like a 14-year-old girl with all the sass, and she can cut eyes. So that's going to be a challenge. But we do know on the other side of that, she's going to be a powerful, incredibly strong, articulate woman who will suffer no bullshit from anybody. That's good. And our son is just like a fun monkey that wants to get in trouble, but he's exactly like joyful and laughy, but all of the naughtiness that is coming home to roost. So many trips to the ER are going to be made. Like it's going to be a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's quite a thing to watch them and be like, oh my God, if you're, you see all the things that you were, and you can tell already what they're probably going to do when they, they're like superheroes that don't know how to wield their powers yet. And so there's going to be a lot of destruction. But
you got to shape that bonsai tree. You got a wild tree. You just gotta groom it the way you want it to grow.
Yeah.
That is a segue to a question I like to ask. I like to ask couples, especially in bands. What do you feel like the other person's superpower is if they were a superhero?
Gosh,
like their secret superpower.
Superhero power, but I feel like Michael has an incredible sense of smell. Like in real life, superhero power, he has very specific super smell. He can identify very specific notes. He can also remember every gas station that we ever stopped at in the history of our family. But if he were like making up the superpower, that would be like an allegory for him. I feel like he would be, he's like an Ant-Man. He's got physical strength that belies his compact size. He is like or he might be like a Spider-Man type of guy because he's very agile, wall climbing kind of creature.
Spant Man.
Span Man. There you go.
Love it.
What's mine?
Well, first I was thinking of like I was going down an emotional road in my mind, just like the thing that it encompasses you. You know, it's not just like a physical attribute. It's like Carrie has a but then you started talking about my super smell and my super memory. You have a super forgetfulness that's, I feel like, is enviable. Like Carrie can forget anything.
You remember all the gas stations, and she doesn't need to remember them. Perfect match.
I just live in a state of just kind of blissful in the momentitude.
She's got super forgetfulness, and also, but like
forget all suffering.
She also has a power to make people feel good, like make people in a room feel good. She's dialed in, and she can. That's like, you know, part of the reason why she's a great performer. But like, you know, in real life, if there was somebody that was over here that was that we were hanging out with, and she'd hone in and tell that person needed a friend to talk to about, she could tell that something was wrong with that person, that they needed to talk, and she'll hang out and stay up and let that person, she'll just like, you know, let that person unload.
I got a wide emotional bandwidth.
That's true. Yeah.
You probably don't remember this because you forget everything, but you were there for me one time, accidentally. We were both playing a festival in Denmark. Big stage. My guitar like exploded for no reason. Like 2 strings just blew off in like the second song. So it was like really bad timing. And you ran backstage, found a guitar, maybe it was your guitar, and then handed it to me.
I remember.
And saved the set.
Yeah.
And I sweated all over that guitar really badly, and I'm sorry for that.
No, it's still there to this day. Nothing we own has ever been wiped down. So
yeah,
we'll share
ingrained.
that forever. That's why you're never an asshole to anybody for any reason, because you got like that.
You might be on their podcast.
You might be on your podcast and
call you out.
No, I actually, like, all joking aside, that is a really kind thing to say, and I think that's my most important. I'm like determined to just like be the easiest person that you have to deal with if you're having a shitty day. I want to be the like I love to pass out really sincere compliments to people. It's probably kind of weird to some people, but I really love. I think it's because I need and like a lot of affirmation. I hand out a lot of affirmation and encouragement in people.
There's a TikTok video. Do you guys watch TikTok at all? There's a TikTok video series that this person does where instead of catcalling women, he like has a megaphone and he just says really specific compliments or like endearing statements about like these people. Like, you're going to be a really good mother one day. I got a good feeling about it.
I love that.
People are like, your hair makes me feel really empowered about my blackness. And it's like, oh, thank you. And the people like feel like they're being insulted at first because someone's shouting at them from a moving car. And then they're like, oh, okay. Ruth Bader Ginsburg has that famous quote, I think, about how her marriage to her husband was able to thrive so long. I think it was something like, you have to learn to be a little bit deaf each day, like to not remember or hear everything this person is saying to you and just sort of filter in the best. of each one of your personalities, because
That's right.
the
track.
the tension is real, especially right now. I'm in a place where I'm usually gone 100 days a year. For the first time in me and my wife's relationship, I'm home every single day, every weekend, all day, every night. And we realized, I think, on Valentine's Day that like we don't hate each other. Like we didn't know if that was going to be a real thing, because we'd never had to really test that. We were like, well, if we're kind of
Dynamic.
going at each other, I'll be on tour next week, so you can cool down.
Yeah.
What do you guys do when you are in conflict with each other, but you have to perform? Like, how does that work?
I feel like we have agreed. We basically are really good at just take a pause. Nothing that we're fighting about kind of can't wait. Or we'll just be mad for the first 3 songs and I'm over it by then. I'm really good also just getting really mad and letting it go and not being mad anymore about it. But
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of compartmentalizing that you do on the road just in general. I
Mhm.
mean, everybody kind of has to. You put things in their little drawers, and and I mean, we've been in all kinds of crazy situations over the years being on the road, and also with kids. It's like the 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 circumstances that you find yourselves in are just like what's happening. And I don't know. I do think that having a sense of humor is key. You kind of have to, when everything is so ridiculous and you're like grabbing, like barehanding like a child's turd out of a toilet while you're in your suit, getting ready to go on stage, and like you doggy bag that sucker and you spritz your hands with some Sani, and then just glide out onto the stage and toss it in the dumpster and just then grab your guitar. It's like that all the time, just different versions of that. And I don't know, I love it. I think that it's like the Griswolds, because something insane
Spinal Tap
is always happening. And and you deal with it, and you also know that it's not the biggest thing in the world, and that you're there to like get on stage and make people happy. And they all had the most insane thing happen to them probably on the way to the show as well. And I don't know, we just kind of like just embrace the insanity, and like laugh at it.
I always want to tell people what's on the inside of our wedding rings when we have these conversations. It's also about time. We gotta go get our kids pretty soon. But I always love to say, so we have some silver wedding rings that were made by our friend in New Orleans, and she said, "What did you want them to say?" And I said, "I want them to say, 'I'm with stupid forever,' with an arrow pointing to Michael." And he has one that says, "I'm with stupid forever," with an arrow pointing to me. And I just feel like that little inside joke has brought me like millions of laughs. I laugh at it every time I think about it. And obviously, neither of us thinks either of us is stupid or that life is stupid, but it is hilarious and completely ridiculous.
Well, you have to find common ground sometimes in the most absurd places, And if there's one thing I miss about being on the road and going town to town, bringing your stories to new people, it's that like sense of camaraderie with a band that you're all in this adventure together, and I feel like your song "Come On Utah" captures that a bit to me, where it's like, if we could just get over that state line, like everything's going to be better. Like we're going to feel like new people, like, we'll leave Colorado and all that baggage behind us. but like Utah is going to be like the new beginning, because every new show is like a new chance of glory. It's like a new chance at glory in some way. If you could play one place, if you could play one place in the country right now, one venue for your first real show back, where would it be?
You know what I'm gonna say, and I feel like it's
What?
oh well, it's Mardi Gras Day right now. Just speaking like in today, if we were gonna play a show anywhere, because it's Mardi Gras Day, and it's not normal. It's not Mardi Gras like normal. I would love to be playing Tipitina's with all my friends tonight at 11 o'clock at night, which is way too late for us. And we would be having such a good time. And my other alternate would be, I love the Paradiso in Amsterdam. I can't wait to get back there.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll just be happy to I'll be happy
Any place.
if these places don't close down. I've had First Avenue has been on my mind a lot lately in Minneapolis, and I don't know what the latest is with that club. I don't know if they're gonna make it. I'm sure they're gonna make it. I hope they're gonna make it. But like,
I'm pretty sure they're one of the clubs that's headed up the National Independent Venue Association that lobbied for the Restart Act that they finally passed. So hopefully they survived long enough to receive the money they fought so hard to save their business with.
Yeah. I've just been thinking about them, and I hope they're doing all right, and I hope we get to play there again sometime.
The 930 in DC. Hope we get to play there again.
Yeah, there's just something special, I think, about some of these. I think they're holy places in our country that maybe are not appreciated as sort of church-like places, because for us, I think the music that is born in these rooms, like First Avenue, where Prince played, Tipitina's, where so many great New Orleans groups played, you guys have played Red Rocks, there's a vortex of energy that is not shining right now. All those places that were sharing this love and energy are dark, and they have been for a year. We're going on a year.
Have not been sung. It's crazy to quantify, like the gigs that didn't get played, the songs that didn't get sung, the energy of applause that didn't go out into the world. I mean, who knows what kind of cosmic effects that kind of stuff will have.
I know. And I think that when we all are able to get out there again, and it might not be the same for years, I think we are going to be maybe more cautious, maybe more afraid to hang with the fans in this close-up, sweaty embrace like we normally do. There's a video we posted the other day, which I found, I almost like recoiled when I watched it. It was from our last show, March 12th in Brooklyn. We were the last show in New York City before it shut down. Now, New York City is probably the worst place to be. 3 of our bandmates got COVID on the way home, and at the merch table, we were like, our singer Liz was signing these guys' chests. Like everyone's like face was like right on top of each other. Like we had no idea of what was to come, and, something like Come On Utah again feels like this spirit that I would like to recapture, is there a song, as we let you go and get your kids, is there a song that you both would love to play first, the first song that you can really play for your fans?
Well, it's not fair to bust out with a brand new song at our fans, but there we have a song that, to me, like it's one of those songs, like after everybody's been sitting in a dark spot, I could just hear like the guitar chord of it and all the light, the like light, not the lights of the stage, but like people coming back alive I feel like Domino is going to be a song that does that for us, but I don't know. What do you think? Like, I feel like I'm Coming Out would be a natural choice because it's a song about coming out of dark places and like coming back to life or coming into the world.
I don't know. I really don't know. It's like hard to imagine, and it
Make a set list.
it makes me it makes me feel, I don't know. I how many feelings are going to be happening then? I mean for any of us who do this to do that in front of people, and it's like we're happy and excited and relieved, and all the people that hopefully are there will be experiencing those same things, and I just don't know. I mean, it like makes me sad and happy at the same time.
Well, I'm really glad that you are still creating beautiful music even through this dark time. And anybody who has that inner child, the inner angsty teenager, the inner rebellious 20-something, I think we're all kids, even if we're having kids, even if we're raising kids. And I think this Busted Juice Box record you just put out is really a moving piece of, I think, modern connection between parent and kid. And I'd love to take us out with the collaboration you did with M. Ward, My Little Buckaroo, because it's such a sweet campfire vibe. And I wish I could play that song for my unborn son. Like I don't even have kids, but I wish I could like play that song around a campfire in Big Sur or something for a little kid. And if you could tell yourself as a kid something right now, as we send you off, what would you tell yourself?
Man, I would do what I would wrap my arms around little me, give me a big hug, and say, sometimes things are hard and sometimes things are easy, but it's all gonna change, and we got you, and you've got love in the universe, and you're part of the great cosmic one, so. And then they'd roll their eyes at me and be like, Mom, so dumb, God. Adult Carrie.
Don't take it too seriously. Don't take anything too seriously, I don't think. I think you got to be able to have a lightness about you with kind of whatever you are doing, and whatever kind of job you have or whatever kind of social situation you're in. I feel like a little bit of simple and easy goes a long way.
It ain't what you got, it's what you make.
Somebody said that once.
Somebody should write that down. Well, thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate you talking to me. Say hi to the kids for me, and keep doing what you do, because we love everything that you create over here. So
thanks so much. Thanks for having us on.
We'll see you out there soon, man.
God bless. God hope. So do you have do you have the file that you can send eventually?
I do. I'm gonna look at this thing.
Let me give you the email. Let me give you the best email to send that to real quick before I sign off here. You don't have to send it right now. There's really no rush.
He was just double checking that something hadn't gone terribly wrong, and it didn't.
It didn't. Success.
All right. Just show on the road pod at Gmail is the best way, I think, to do it, or Dust Bowl Revival at Gmail, but show on the road pod.
Show on the road pod. At what now?
At Gmail.
Gmail.
Show on the road pod.
Sweet. How are you doing? Are you all right?
Yeah, man. A little stir crazy, but trying to trying to figure out a way to get back in the studio, do some things, but we're, you know,
You're in Chicago now?
LA,
LA.
but you know, we're, you know, look, if you're healthy and you're not, you know, evicted from your house, you're pretty lucky overall right now.
You're right.
So,
Yeah.
and you know, we got new music from you guys to listen to, and that makes everything better.
A little bit, just a little bit better.
Yeah.
One of us needs to bust off. Why don't you bust off? But you bust out of here.
I'll let you guys go, but thank you so much for talking, and let's reconnect sometime soon, I hope.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Bye, guys.
Good talking.